Emma sat quietly on the couch, her fingers circling the edge of her teacup. Morning sunlight filtered softly through the curtains, casting a golden hue across the room. She and James shared a peaceful moment together, one of many, after nearly 10 years of marriage built on love, trust, and mutual support. Their mornings were often like this. James engrossed in the newspaper while Emma mentally mapped out her day, just as she was about to remind him of their weekend plans. James's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and smiled. "It's Daniel," he said, answering. Daniel had been James's best friend since they were kids, more like family than a friend. He had stood beside James through everything, college, job changes, even as his best man at the wedding. Daniel never asked for much, but he gave selflessly. After a brief exchange, James handed the phone to Emma. "He wants to ask you something." She raised a brow but took the phone. "Hey, Daniel, what's going on?" His voice was warm but hesitant. "Emma, I need a small favor." "I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important." He explained that he had to leave town on short notice for work and needed someone to pick up a personal package from a small shop outside the city. Nothing urgent, just something he couldn't collect himself. Though the request felt odd, Daniel had always been kind to both of them. She agreed. "Sure, I'll go tomorrow." "Thanks, Emma, really. I appreciate it," he said with a sigh of relief. The next day, Emma drove to the quiet shop, nestled between an old bookstore and a cozy cafe. It had an almost timeless feel. As she stepped inside, the scent of old wood and cinnamon filled the air. A middle-aged man behind the counter gave her a knowing look. "You must be Emma." She tensed slightly. "Yes, I'm here for a package. For Daniel." Without another word, he reached beneath the counter and set a neatly wrapped parcel in front of her. It was heavier than she expected. As she lifted it, an unsettling feeling settled in her chest. "Tell Daniel I said hello," the man added with a faint smile before turning away. Emma nodded. "I will." Back in the car, the package rested beside her, small but oddly weighty. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She wasn't usually nosy, but the vagueness of it all gnawed at her. At a red light, she reached over to adjust it. The wrapping crinkled, and a glimpse of an aged envelope peeked through, a yellowed edge just visible. A honk from behind startled her back to reality. She drove on. At home, James greeted her in the kitchen. "How'd it go?" Emma placed the package on the counter, rubbing her neck. "Fine, I guess. But it felt weird." James looked puzzled. "Weird how?" "The shopkeeper knew my name before I said anything. And the package, it just felt personal. Like not something you'd usually ask a friend to handle." "Did Daniel say what was in it?" James asked. "No, just that it was important." "Maybe it's sentimental." "You know how he is, keeps things close to his chest." Emma nodded, but the unease remained. As she went to move the package, the already torn corner split further, exposing more of the envelope inside. She hadn't meant to look, but curiosity got the better of her. Inside were handwritten letters, tied with string, and beneath them, a photograph of a woman with a soft smile. Emma's breath caught. Something told her these weren't just old keepsakes. "I think we should call him," she said. James exhaled. "Let's wait. If it's personal, he should have the chance to explain." Emma carefully tucked everything back in the package, but questions flooded her mind. Who was the woman? Why were the letters hidden? Why had Daniel asked her to retrieve them later? Unable to shake the unease, James unwrapped the package. The letters were delicate, the edges worn with time. Emma began to read one, her voice trembling. They were from Daniel's mother. Didn't he say she passed when he was young? James confirmed it. Daniel had barely spoken of her. Some letters were old. Others were more recent, written long after her passing. Unsent words to a mother long gone. One read, "Dear Daniel, I wish I could tell you how proud I am. I see you in every kindness you show. You were always loved." Then Emma found another envelope, this one addressed to James. He opened it and read, "James, I never had the courage to say this, but you saved me. When I felt alone, you were there. I don't know if I'd still be here without you." Silence fell over the room. Emma squeezed James's hand. "I don't think he meant for you to see that," she said gently. "No," James agreed. "But maybe it's time we know." Daniel had carried this pain for years quietly. Emma repacked the letters. "We can't ignore this." "No, we can't." That evening, they invited Daniel over for dinner. He arrived looking like himself, but there was tension beneath the surface. Instead of confronting him, James steered the conversation to old memories. The warmth returned, slowly. Midway through dinner, James finally said, "You know, I never thanked you for being there, for being my best friend when I didn't know I needed one." Daniel laughed lightly, but the cracks showed. "You don't have to carry everything alone," Emma said softly, placing a hand on his dot. Daniel let out a breath, one that had waited years to be released. "I don't know how to let go." "You don't have to," James replied. "Just don't shut us out." Daniel didn't ask how they knew. He didn't get angry. Maybe he had wanted to be seen all along. That night, after Daniel left, Emma turned to James. "Do you think he'll be okay?" James pulled her into his arms. "Yeah, I think, for the first time in a long time, he just might be." Emma smiled, resting her head against him. What started as a simple favor had become something much more, a reminder that the deepest struggles are often hidden, and that being there for someone isn't always about grand gestures. Sometimes, it's about listening, seeing, and simply not letting them face it alone.